Shooting downhill with a bipod is one of the more awkward positions we encounter in the mountains, but it's also one of the most critical skills as a mountain hunter that you can have in your toolkit to be successful. Let's walk through a couple steps and considerations to make you more successful at shooting downhill. Bipod height is one of the most important considerations when shooting downhill. You may be shooting across canyon on a downhill slope and need to get your bipod way up high, or you may be shooting down off some cliffs into the bottom of the basin and need to get your bipod very, very low. So having a bipod that is capable of a wide range of adjustment, and then knowing your adjustments to be able to, one, preset your bipod to the shooting position that you're building, and then fine tune that adjustment as needed once you're behind the rifle is absolutely critical. We do that by extending our legs, pre-extending before, and then also you can adjust your splay on your legs to get a narrower stance on a higher elevation or a wider stance in a lower elevation. There's a couple scenarios that you got to consider shooting downhill. I may be shooting cross canyon, which means I need to have the front end of the rifle up high, and this position with the rear end low is perfect. I'm ready to make a great shot here. Say I'm shooting extremely steep downhill, I need that front end, my rifle pointed low. To do that, to raise my rear end, I've got to get the rear end of the rifle way up high. This is very difficult to make a good shot. So instead, I'm going to lower my front end to make that steep downhill shot. And now I can keep my rear bag low and pull off that shot with the muzzle pointed straight down. The other major consideration shooting downhill, in previous videos we talked a lot about loading the bipod, or rather finding the wall and not overloading the bipod. Shooting downhill is a perfect example of where there's a strong tendency to overload a bipod. And if you think about it, when you're shooting downhill, the gravity of the rifle is pulling it downhill, and it's essentially finding the wall on that bipod on its own. Keep in mind, you really don't need to lean into that bipod hard. You simply need to get a good footing for the feet on that bipod, get it set in position, get behind the rifle, very lightly address that rifle and pull off your shot. If you're leaning into that on top of the gravity of the rifle, preloading that bipod, I promise you, you're going to be overloading that bipod, and it's probably going to affect your point of impact when you're making a shot. High angle downhill shots are a very common occurrence in mountain hunting. Really, the best way to get good at them is get out and practice.